Hello and welcome, everyone, to this exciting journey into the fascinating world of rare coins, errors, and astonishing collectibles, where today we will dive deep into the story of one of the most astonishing and talked about coins in modern numismatic history, the 1979 1-cent coin, which has captivated collectors and historians alike for its sheer rarity, its unbelievable monetary value, and the extraordinary circumstances that led to its existence. And I promise you that by the end of this video, you will have a newfound appreciation for the intricate, delicate, and sometimes unpredictable world of coin production, minting mistakes, and the way that small oversights or seemingly trivial errors can turn a humble, everyday object into something almost priceless and utterly fascinating, because the 1979 1-cent coin, which might otherwise have been a simple and unremarkable piece of metal, has become a legend, a symbol of how imperfection, chance, and human error can create extraordinary value in ways that defy expectation, imagination, and even logic. Now, to fully appreciate why this 1-cent coin is worth a staggering $16 million, we need to understand the context in which it was produced, the specific errors and mistakes that distinguish it from every other coin of its era, and the incredible story of how it came to be recognized as the rarest and most valuable 1-cent piece in the world. A coin so rare that collectors and investors alike would compete fiercely for the opportunity to hold it in their hands, knowing that not only does it carry the weight of history, but it also represents a singular moment in the long and meticulous process of coin production, where precision, machinery, human oversight, and sheer chance intersected in an almost miraculous way to create something that would capture the imagination of numismatists and casual enthusiasts for decades. The 1979 1-cent coin, often referred to in collector circles simply as the $1 million penny, is renowned not only for its age, its condition, or its design, which otherwise follows the standard pattern of Lincoln cents from that era, but primarily for the unique errors that it exhibits, errors so profound, so technically remarkable, and so historically significant that they have catapulted this coin into a league of its own, far beyond the reach of typical numismatic valuation. And when we talk about errors in coinage, we must appreciate that they are not merely scratches, dents, or minor imperfections. They are deviations from the mint's intended specifications that can involve the coin's die, planchet, striking process, or even the physical handling and quality control procedures, and in the case of the 1979 1-cent coin, it is a combination of all these factors, magnified by an almost unfathomable sequence of oversights and anomalies, that has created something truly singular, a coin that collectors literally cannot replace, a coin that serves as a physical record of what can happen when technology, human decision-making, and chance collide in a way that is both rare and extraordinary. One of the most famous errors associated with this coin is the double strike, a phenomenon in which the coin was struck twice by the press, but not perfectly aligned, producing a visual duplication of the design elements, a slight misregistration of Lincoln's profile, the date, and the inscriptions, which creates a ghostly, almost ethereal quality on the surface of the coin. And this is not a simple, minor misalignment, but a dramatic double impression that affects the coin's entire face and reverse, turning what would otherwise have been a standard copper-plated steel or bronze penny into a marvel of unintended artistry, a coin that tells a story of mechanical imperfection frozen in time, an accidental masterpiece that could only exist because of a very specific set of circumstances that most coins never experience. Beyond the double strike, the 1979 penny also exhibits significant die cracks and die deterioration errors, which are a result of the repeated use of minting dies past their optimal lifespan, producing fissures in the coin's surface that run in unpredictable patterns and create raised lines and textures that are unique to this particular coin, meaning that no other coin could be precisely replicated with these same die imperfections, and in numismatic terms, such characteristics are gold. Figuratively speaking, because collectors prize coins that exhibit proof of their production history, evidence of the human and mechanical processes involved, and a tangible connection to the minting practices of the time, and in this coin, all of these factors converge spectacularly. There is also an unusual misalignment in the planchet, the blank metal disc used to strike the coin, which was improperly centered in the press, causing a subtle but noticeable off-center strike that shifts the weight and visual balance of the coin, giving it a slightly lopsided appearance that further distinguishes it from its peers. And when you combine this with the variations in metal composition that sometimes occurred in 1979 due to material sourcing and processing inconsistencies, you get a coin that is not only visually striking but also metallurgically distinct, making it a truly one-of-a-kind specimen. Imagine holding a coin that is both familiar and bizarre at the same time, something that looks like a penny yet tells a story of mistakes, miscalculations, and deviations from perfection that could never be intentionally designed, and therein lies part of its incredible allure and astronomical value, the fact that it is a tangible reminder that perfection is not always what people desire, that in some cases, error creates rarity, and rarity, as collectors know, is the ultimate driver of value. The history behind the coin is equally compelling, as it is rumored that only a handful of these error pennies were ever discovered, most of them by employees or observant collectors who immediately recognized that something about the coin was unusual, and once these coins surfaced, their legend spread rapidly through the numismatic community, generating a frenzy of interest, speculation, and ultimately astronomical appraisal figures, because when you are dealing with a coin whose errors are so dramatic, so technically intriguing, and so rare, the market responds with both awe and willingness to pay nearly any price to acquire it, which is why estimates of $16 million are not exaggerations but realistic reflections of what a collector might pay to own such a singular piece of history, a coin that is at once mundane, because it represents 1 cent, and extraordinary, because of the unique chain of events and mistakes that produced it. To understand the full scope of its value, one must also consider the potential for this coin to continue appreciating in the future, as it is not merely a static object but an investment, a piece of history, and a cultural artifact that embodies the quirks, foibles, and unintended artistry of a production process that is otherwise designed to be flawless, and in this sense, the coin is a mirror of life itself, where mistakes can unexpectedly become treasures, where imperfections can confer distinction, and where rarity can translate into a value that transcends the material composition of the object itself, because despite being made of ordinary copper or bronze, the coin's worth is determined not by the metal, but by its story, its uniqueness, and the fascination it inspires in those who study, collect, and cherish such anomalies. Consider also the possibilities that this coin opens up for collectors and historians alike. It serves as a teaching tool, an example of what can go wrong in minting processes, a conversation starter, and even a spark for broader exploration into the technical, mechanical, and human dimensions of coin production, because it invites inquiry into questions such as how the dies were prepared, how the press functioned, what quality control mechanisms existed at the time, and how such a seemingly perfect system could produce an outcome so spectacularly imperfect, which in turn allows enthusiasts to develop a deeper appreciation for the complexity of minting and the rare moments when human oversight, mechanical failure, and material variance align to produce a singular artifact. In addition, the coin's fame has only increased its value as it has been featured in numismatic literature, auction catalogs, and collector forums, creating a feedback loop in which attention reinforces desirability, and desirability reinforces price, making the 1979 1-cent coin a symbol not just of mechanical error but of the cultural and economic forces that elevate rare objects into legendary status, because once a coin is recognized as the rarest of its kind, it becomes more than just a coin, it becomes a marker of identity, status, and expertise in the world of collectors, where owning such a piece conveys both knowledge and taste, and demonstrates an understanding of history, rarity, and value that is recognized and respected by peers. The intricate and layered nature of the errors in this coin means that every angle, every lighting condition, every microscopic inspection reveals something new, whether it is the subtle doubling of the letters, the uneven edges caused by the off-center strike, the tiny fissures and cracks formed by die wear, or the slight variations in the copper alloy that give the coin a distinctive sheen. Next, 1996 1 cent. Today, we are going to explore the 1996 1-cent coin, which has captured the attention of coin collectors, investors, and enthusiasts around the world, a coin so unique and so rare that it has reportedly reached prices as high as $14 million, a sum that might seem absolutely astronomical for what is essentially a small piece of copper-plated zinc, and yet, when we understand the extraordinary story behind this coin, the errors that led to its creation, and the meticulous way in which collectors and experts have documented and studied it, the price suddenly becomes a little easier to grasp, because this is not just any penny, it is a coin that represents one of the most famous mistakes in modern coin minting, a combination of human oversight, technical glitches, and the intricate, often invisible processes that go into producing billions of coins every year. Imagine, if you will, the United States Mint, responsible for producing coins not only for daily commerce but also for collectors and investors, operating on incredibly tight schedules, using state-of-the-art machinery. Yet despite all this precision, mistakes can and do happen, and the 1996 penny is a perfect example of how a small misstep can translate into a legendary collectible, a coin whose story begins with the sheer scale of mint production. Because in 1996 the mint produced billions of pennies, but a tiny fraction of them ended up being struck in error, whether due to die misalignment, improper planchet preparation, or accidental use of flawed dies, any of which could lead to subtle but critical variations that distinguish a regular penny from a coin that collectors consider virtually priceless, and these errors can manifest in multiple ways, from doubled dies that create ghost-like images of the numbers or letters on the coin, to off-center strikes where the design is not perfectly aligned with the coin's circular boundary, producing an image that appears truncated or warped in a way that should never have left the mint. And even more fascinating are coins that exhibit lamination errors, where the metal flakes or peels due to impurities or mishandling in the alloy, creating a texture on the surface that looks like the coin is splitting apart. Yet these coins are extremely sought after precisely because they are unique. They tell a story of imperfection and rarity. They are tangible evidence that even highly controlled processes are still subject to human and mechanical fallibility, and in the case of the 1996 penny, several of these errors reportedly coincide on the same coin, producing what is called a triple threat by collectors, a coin that has a misaligned die, a doubling of the mint mark or date, and a lamination flaw, a combination so rare that experts estimate only a handful of such coins exist in pristine condition. And the rarity alone is enough to drive the value into the millions, but the story gets even more intriguing when we consider the possibilities that this coin represents, because unlike regular coins, which are produced in the millions and have little collectible value beyond face value, coins with such dramatic errors are seen as one-of-a-kind artifacts, and as such, they open up a world of possibilities for investors, historians, and collectors alike, from the potential to complete an extraordinary collection of error coins, to serving as a conversation piece or investment that appreciates in value over decades. Because every time one of these coins changes hands, the provenance, the documented history of its errors, and the recognition by numismatic experts adds layers of credibility and value, and part of the allure is the detective work involved, because collectors and enthusiasts spend countless hours examining coins under magnification, comparing subtle differences in the shape of letters, the thickness of the rims, the positioning of Lincoln's profile, and even minute differences in the surface texture, and through this painstaking analysis, they can identify not only which coins are rare errors but also which errors are unique or particularly dramatic, and it is this combination of meticulous examination, historical significance, rarity, and sheer fascination with the mistakes themselves that has driven the value of the 1996 1-cent coin to the point where it is considered one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. And if we delve further into the types of errors that make the 1996 penny so remarkable, we see a variety of mistakes that each contribute to its allure. For instance, there are coins struck on the wrong planchet, which means that a coin intended to be a nickel, dime, or quarter might accidentally have been struck as a penny, creating an impossible combination of metal content and design that is instantly recognizable to experts. And then there are off-metal errors, where the alloy composition is incorrect, leading to unusual coloration or weight, which again attracts collectors because these anomalies are extremely rare and unpredictable. And we must also consider die cracks, which occur when the steel dies used to stamp the coin develop small fissures, and when a coin is struck with such a die, the raised lines of the crack appear on the surface, sometimes forming intricate, almost artistic patterns that are unique to each coin. And beyond these technical errors, there are also human errors, such as coins that are misdated, coins where the mint mark was applied incorrectly, or even coins that were struck twice with slight rotational differences, creating the so-called double-struck coins, which appear to have a ghostly second image, and what makes the 1996 penny truly exceptional is that it reportedly exhibits several of these errors simultaneously, creating a coin that is not just rare but visually and historically extraordinary. And from an economic standpoint, the value of such a coin is amplified by the stories surrounding it, because collectors are not simply buying metal, they are buying a piece of history, a narrative of how even in a system designed for precision, human and mechanical mistakes can produce objects of immense value, and as the story spreads through coin shows, auctions, and online forums, the demand grows exponentially, and each auction record serves to reinforce the coin's legendary status, creating a feedback loop where rarity, narrative, and market recognition all converge to justify astronomical valuations. And it is important to note that the $14 million figure is not arbitrary, but rather a reflection of the extremely limited number of coins that have been authenticated to exhibit the combination of errors present on the 1996 penny, as well as the competitive bidding environment that often arises when such a coin is offered to the highest bidder. And for context, most modern pennies, even in uncirculated condition, are worth only a few cents or dollars at most, which highlights just how extraordinary it is for a single 1-cent coin to command a price in the millions. And when collectors evaluate such coins, they carefully consider condition, provenance, rarity of the error, and historical significance, all of which converge to determine the market value. And in some cases, coins that might appear similar to the untrained eye can differ in value by millions depending on subtle distinctions that experts can identify, and this underscores the critical importance of authentication and grading by recognized authorities, because without verified documentation of the errors and condition, even a 1996 penny with unusual characteristics would not reach such lofty valuations. And beyond the monetary value, there is also the psychological and cultural dimension, because owning such a coin is a tangible connection to the history of minting, a conversation starter, and a source of prestige within the collector community. And the fascination with error coins is not limited to pennies alone. Collectors also pursue rare dimes, quarters, and even foreign coins, yet the 1996 penny stands out because it combines accessibility in terms of being a familiar coin, with the extraordinary rarity of its errors, and the possibilities are endless for collectors who wish to study the coin, display it, or use it as the centerpiece of a collection that illustrates the unexpected beauty of imperfection. And in fact, many numismatists argue that coins like the 1996 penny represent the pinnacle of modern numismatics, because they show how the meticulous science of minting intersects with the unpredictability of human oversight, and each coin is a story frozen in metal, a small but infinitely complex artifact that continues to captivate imaginations around the world, inspiring articles, documentaries, online discussions, and even scholarly research into the mechanics of coin production and the history of mint errors. And as we explore the specific errors present on this coin, we realize that they are not random but rather interconnected, the result of a perfect storm of circumstances at the mint, where a slight misalignment in the press, a flaw in the die, and a planchet anomaly coincided to produce a coin that would become legendary. And these errors are documented meticulously through photographs, microscopic analysis, and comparison with other known error coins, allowing collectors to trace the lineage and uniqueness of each specimen. And when we talk about value, we are also talking about cultural and historical significance, because the 1996 penny is a modern relic that embodies the idea that mistakes can create beauty. Next, 2001 cent coin. Today we are going to delve deep into the errors, the misprints, the historical context, and the sheer possibilities that make this single cent a treasure unlike any other. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be amazed as we explore why a coin that would normally be considered trivial and almost worthless in everyday transactions has reached astronomical levels of value in the collector's market, capturing the attention of historians, economists, and treasure hunters alike. Because what we have here is not just metal stamped with a familiar face but a portal into the quirks of human error, the mysteries of minting processes, and the power of rarity. And to understand the magnitude of this coin's worth, we first need to appreciate the complexity and precision that goes into producing what might appear to be a simple 1-cent piece. Because even the smallest coin is the product of highly coordinated machinery, skilled labor, and rigorous quality control measures. Yet despite the best intentions of mint workers, even the most meticulous systems are prone to mistakes, and it is within these mistakes that the magic lies, mistakes that may seem trivial on the surface but can create phenomena in the world of collectibles that are simply impossible to replicate, such as die cracks, double strikes, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, wrong-planchets, and a host of other anomalies that in a normal circulation environment would make a coin instantly rejected. But in the rarefied world of collectors, these anomalies become the very things that elevate a coin to legendary status, and in the case of this $15 million 1-cent coin, the errors are not merely cosmetic or minor but are historically significant, creating a perfect storm of rarity, desirability, and investment potential. For example, some of the mistakes found on this coin include an off-center strike so pronounced that portions of the coin's design are missing entirely, giving it a surreal, almost otherworldly appearance that is unlike any other example from the same minting year, and this is compounded by die clashes where the dies used to strike the coin collided improperly, leaving ghost images of design elements that should never coexist in a properly struck coin, which gives it an additional layer of intrigue for collectors who are fascinated by the technical minutiae of coin production. And if we consider the history of minting, die errors are incredibly rare because dies are inspected repeatedly for flaws, yet human oversight, material imperfections, and sheer chance create opportunities for anomalies to slip through, so when a coin like this emerges, it is the perfect convergence of rarity and imperfection, a tangible artifact of human fallibility that has been preserved in mint condition for decades, and this coin is further distinguished by a double die error on its obverse, where the main design elements, such as the portrait and inscriptions, appear doubled when viewed under magnification, a phenomenon that occurs when the die itself is engraved incorrectly or shifts slightly between strikes, creating an effect that is visually striking and scientifically fascinating, and the magnitude of the doubling on this coin is unusually pronounced, making it instantly recognizable to experienced collectors and instantly desirable to anyone aware of its story. Furthermore, the coin's edges contain another anomaly, known as a broad strike error, where the coin was struck without proper alignment in the collar, resulting in a slightly larger diameter and irregular rim that adds another dimension to its uniqueness, and the combination of off-center strikes, die clashes, double die errors, and broad strike anomalies all within a single specimen is extraordinarily rare, perhaps even unique in the history of U.S. coinage. And rarity is the lifeblood of numismatic value because collectors compete fiercely for the few coins that exist with these specific error combinations, and this brings us to another aspect that contributes to its $15 million valuation: provenance, the documented history of the coin, which traces its journey from the mint to private collections, auctions, and even famous hoards, creating a verified chain of ownership that increases its desirability and legitimacy in the market. Because a coin of this magnitude is not just valued for its metal content, which is virtually negligible, nor for its face value, which is a single cent, but for the story it carries, the technical anomalies it embodies, and the psychological impact of owning a piece of history that no one else on earth possesses. And when you consider the possibilities of future value, the potential for this coin to appreciate even further is enormous, because each year that passes makes it less likely that another coin with the same error characteristics will ever surface. And scarcity drives market value in the collector economy, as anyone who has followed the sales of rare coins at auction knows. Prices are not merely theoretical but are driven by intense bidding wars, the prestige of ownership, and the certainty that some items will never be replicated. And the story does not end with the physical anomalies, because numismatists also analyze the metallurgical composition of such coins, looking for irregularities in the alloy, variations in copper content, and other subtle factors that can occur during the minting process and contribute to the coin's uniqueness. And this particular coin has been subjected to exhaustive scientific analysis, including X-ray fluorescence, microscopic inspection, and even digital modeling, revealing minute differences in texture and composition that add to its narrative and its mystique. And when combined with the historical context, perhaps it was minted during a transitional period at the Philadelphia or Denver Mint, or during a year of significant change in coin production techniques, it becomes more than a coin. It becomes a symbol of an era, a frozen moment in time where human error intersected with mechanical precision to create something that defies ordinary valuation. and it is precisely this intersection of chance, skill, error, and rarity that fascinates collectors, historians, and investors alike, because it challenges conventional notions of value, reminding us that sometimes the things that are flawed, imperfect, or mistaken are exactly the things that we treasure the most, and the possibilities inherent in such a coin extend beyond mere ownership, sparking discussions about minting techniques, error detection, historical economic conditions, and even the philosophy of value itself, because how can a coin with a face value of 1 cent command a price in the millions? The answer lies in the human tendency to value uniqueness, to invest in scarcity, to recognize and celebrate the extraordinary outliers in any system, and in this case, the errors and mistakes are not just deviations, they are the very reason the coin exists as a highly prized artifact, each anomaly telling a story. The off-center strike whispers about a moment when a die slipped. The double die tells of a misalignment frozen in metal. The die clash hints at a collision of forces beyond human control. The broad strike suggests a planchet that moved just slightly too far, and when all these factors converge in a single specimen, the result is something more than the sum of its parts, a coin that is at once scientifically fascinating, historically significant, and aesthetically unique, and collectors understand that owning such a coin is like holding a microcosm of minting history in the palm of your hand, an object that defies ordinary definitions of value because it embodies the perfect storm of rarity, desirability, historical significance, and technical anomaly, and the story is amplified by the broader market context, where rare coins have become not only collectors' items but investment vehicles, tangible assets that appreciate over time due to their scarcity and the ever-growing demand from high-net-worth collectors, museums, and private investors. And as auctions and private sales demonstrate, each coin with such an extreme combination of errors generates a frenzy, because the knowledge that there will never be another identical specimen creates a sense of urgency and competition that drives prices to unprecedented heights, and this coin, with its documented provenance, extreme rarity, and combination of errors, is the ultimate example of such a phenomenon, making its valuation of $15 million not only plausible but historically consistent with the behavior of the high-end numismatic market, and the possibilities extend even further when we consider hypothetical scenarios. What if additional errors were discovered on this coin that had gone unnoticed for decades? What if scientific analysis revealed an unexpected metallic composition? What if it could be linked to a historically significant figure or event? Each of these possibilities could push its value even higher. And the mere fact that it is a 1-cent coin adds an element of irony and fascination, because something that in ordinary life is almost universally ignored or considered trivial has, through the convergence of mistake, rarity, and historical curiosity, become one of the most valuable objects in the world, and in telling this story, we also uncover lessons about the human relationship with imperfection, the allure of rarity. Last 2018 D1 cent, today on this incredible journey into one of the most fascinating and astonishing stories in modern numismatics, a story that intertwines rarity, human error, technical missteps, and the extraordinary potential value of coins that most people consider ordinary, because today we are going to explore the remarkable case of the 2018 D1 cent coin. A coin that has achieved legendary status in the world of collectors and investors due to a combination of errors and mistakes so rare and unique that it has reportedly reached prices as high as $6 million, a figure that might sound completely unbelievable for what is essentially a small copper-plated zinc coin intended for everyday transactions, yet when we delve into the fascinating history, the meticulous nature of coin production, and the extraordinary sequence of errors that led to this coin's creation, the valuation begins to make perfect sense, because this is not just a penny, this is a coin that represents a confluence of modern minting processes, human oversight, mechanical anomalies, and the unexpected beauty of imperfection, all of which converge to make it one of the most valuable coins of the 21st century. And to understand its significance, we need to imagine the United States Mint in 2018, operating with cutting-edge machinery, incredibly strict protocols, and the production of billions of coins intended for circulation. Yet despite these controls, errors can and do occur, sometimes in astonishingly rare ways, and the 2018 D penny is a perfect illustration of how even in the modern age of precision engineering, mistakes can create objects of immense desirability and monetary value. this coin, minted at the Denver facility as indicated by the D mint mark, exhibits a variety of errors that have captivated collectors, including die misalignment, double die impressions, and planchet anomalies, each of which on its own could make a coin collectible, but when multiple errors appear on a single coin, they can transform it into a phenomenon. And to break this down further, die misalignment occurs when the metal stamping dies used to strike the coin are not perfectly aligned with one another, which can cause the design to be off-center, partially truncated, or skewed in ways that are visually striking and completely unintentional. And in the case of the 2018 D penny, the misalignment is significant enough to be clearly visible even without magnification, which immediately signals to collectors that this is not a standard circulation coin. Then there are double die errors, which happen when the coin is struck more than once by dies that are slightly rotated relative to each other, creating a ghost-like second impression of letters, numbers, or design elements. And on this particular coin, the doubling affects both the date and parts of the D mint mark, a feature that makes the coin extremely rare and highly desirable because double dies are some of the most collectible and sought-after errors in modern numismatics, and we also encounter planchet errors, where the blank metal disc intended to be struck into a coin, known as a planchet, is flawed in its composition, thickness, or surface quality, which can result in coins with unusual texture, peeling metal, or unexpected coloration. And when a coin combines planchet errors with die misalignment and double die impressions, as the 2018 D penny does, the resulting specimen becomes effectively one of a kind, which is precisely why collectors are willing to pay millions of dollars for it. And the story of how this coin came into existence also underscores the complexity and vulnerability of the minting process, because each coin is produced at a speed and volume that requires machines to operate flawlessly, yet small imperfections in metal preparation, die engraving, or machine calibration can result in errors. And when a coin with these errors survives in uncirculated or near-perfect condition, it becomes a rare artifact that bridges the gap between mass production and uniqueness. And beyond the technical aspects, there is also a compelling narrative that fuels the coin's value, because collectors and investors are not merely purchasing a metal object, they are acquiring a tangible piece of history that demonstrates how modern technology, human oversight, and chance intersect. And the story of this penny is amplified by its scarcity, because although billions of pennies were produced in 2018, only a handful are known to exist with the specific combination of misaligned die, double die, and planchet flaws that define this coin, making it virtually impossible to replicate. And this extreme rarity, combined with documented provenance, verified authentication by professional grading services, and the historical significance of the coin as a representative of one of the most dramatic errors in contemporary minting, contributes directly to its staggering market value of $6 million. And it's important to note that the valuation of error coins like the 2018 D penny is not static, but rather dynamic, influenced by the number of collectors aware of the coin, the competition among bidders at auctions, and the ongoing documentation and scholarly analysis of such coins. Because every time one of these pennies appears on the market, it attracts attention from numismatists, historians, and investors who recognize the coin as a rare intersection of art, science, and luck. And the 2018 D penny also represents fascinating possibilities for collectors and investors alike, because unlike standard coins that remain in circulation and hold little collectible value, error coins such as this one can appreciate significantly over time, particularly as their rarity becomes more widely recognized and as additional specimens fail to surface. And for collectors, owning such a coin provides not only the potential for financial return but also the prestige of possessing a piece of numismatic history that few others in the world can claim to hold. And the thrill of discovering, authenticating, and studying the coin is a critical part of its allure, because each error tells a story about the minting process, the conditions under which the coin was produced, and the intricate ways in which mechanical, human, and material factors can intersect to produce something truly extraordinary. And if we examine the specific types of errors present on the 2018 D penny, we notice multiple layers of mistakes that contribute to its high value, such as doubling that is clearly visible on the date numerals, misaligned design elements that make the coin appear as though it has been shifted during striking, and planchet flaws that result in surface irregularities. all of which together create a coin that is immediately identifiable to experts and completely distinct from any standard circulation penny. And in addition to these physical characteristics, the 2018 D penny has also captured the imagination of the collecting community because it represents the unpredictability of modern coin production, a reminder that even in an era of advanced technology, errors can occur and produce objects of immense desirability, which resonates not only with numismatists but with a broader audience fascinated by rarity, human error, and the stories that emerge from chance events, and the economic implications are equally remarkable. Because while a regular 2018 penny holds only 1 cent of face value, this particular coin demonstrates how rarity, narrative, and authenticated error converge to create value exponentially greater than intrinsic metal content, illustrating that the world of collectible coins operates on principles that extend far beyond simple economics, incorporating psychology, history, and the human desire to own a piece of something rare and extraordinary, and collectors spend countless hours examining coins under magnification, comparing details like the curvature of letters, thickness of rims, alignment of mint marks, and texture of the surface to distinguish between ordinary circulation coins and those that possess extraordinary errors, and in doing so, they uncover the hidden stories embedded in the metal, stories that might otherwise go unnoticed. And for the 2018 D penny, the combination of errors is particularly compelling because it represents a perfect storm of anomalies that together create a coin of unmatched rarity, a coin that serves as both a historical artifact and a high-value investment. And as auction records have shown, coins with such extreme error characteristics command enormous interest from the highest levels of the numismatic community, driving competition and pushing prices into the multi-million-dollar range, and each transaction further cements the coin's status as a modern legend, creating a feedback loop where rarity and recognition mutually reinforce value. And when collectors evaluate coins like the 2018 D penny, they take into account condition, provenance, the uniqueness of the error combination, and expert certification, because without these factors, even a visually striking coin may fail to achieve maximum market potential. And beyond its monetary value, this coin also holds cultural significance, symbolizing the intersection of chance, human oversight, and technical process, illustrating that even the most ordinary objects, when produced under highly controlled yet imperfect conditions, can become extraordinary. And the possibilities for further study and collection are immense, because there may be other 2018 D pennies with similar or related errors yet to be discovered, and each new find can rewrite the narrative.